Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to today's Shoflo Customer Spotlight webinar, where today we're putting the spotlight on TED conferences and learn how they put on world-class productions. My name is Sharif. I'm on the Shoflo team, and I'll be your host today. To start things off, let's have a little fun in the chat. So in the chat, if you can answer this question, that'd be great. What TED speaker, living or past, would you want to have dinner with? What TED speaker, living or past, would you want to have dinner with? So go ahead, open the chat, and here's a few options. It could be Sam Altman, Bono, Simon Sinek, Elon Musk, anyone else that I haven't mentioned. Take a few seconds and go ahead and put it in the chat. If you want, go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from as well. We know we have people all over the world. We're all grateful for you for using Shoflo. So we'd love to know where you're tuning in from too. So again, what TED speaker, living or past, would you want to have dinner with? Before we get started, want to have a few or go through a few housekeeping items. Before, or if you have a question, use the Q&A section. Use the Q&A section to submit your question. Resist the urge to put it in chat. It's not a horrible thing, but it's just easier for us to track your questions, make sure we know it's answered if you put it in the Q&A section. And we'll pause throughout the webinar to answer those questions. And then behind the scenes, Brian, who's also on the Shoflo team, he is producing this webinar, but also monitoring the chat and the Q&A. I want to go ahead and let me see if we can open up the chat here and see if what answers do we have here. So all right, we got a good few. We have Simon Sinek in here, can't go wrong with that. Bono, another Simon Sinek. Sir Ken Robinson, I don't know who that person is, but I know what I'm going to do after this webinar. I'm going to go check out that TED Talk. Detroit, Paul McCartney, Steve Jobs. Okay. Great. Well, thanks for submitting those awesome things. Again, and as you're tuning in, go ahead and put that in the chat. If you're still thinking about it, if you don't know if it's a tough one, just go ahead and drop that in the chat there. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and introduce a guest. But before I do, just want to go ahead and lay the groundwork for what TED is all about. Angela Duckworth, Simon Sinek, Elon Musk, Bill Gates. What do they all have in common? They have all graced the TED stage over the years, and our guest, Mina Sabet, was behind the scenes producing the show for all of them. From concept to curtain call, Mina and her team were the creative force behind some of the world's most iconic talks. On today's Customer Spotlight, we'll dive into how TED brings its signature storytelling to life and how tools like Shoflo help make it all happen. Mina, welcome.
Hi,
so great to have you.
So good to be here. I can't believe you haven't watched Sir Ken Robinson's talk, by the way. That is criminal. He is the most watched TED Talk ever.
Yeah. How can I call myself a fan if I haven't done that? Right. That's my load for today. I have my homework. I know what I need to do right as soon as I'm done. So, but to that point, TED Talks, they're so iconic. I mean, in Shoflo, we used to do a thing called Team Weeks where we refocus on our goals for the quarter. We'd invite industry leaders in to learn from, but inevitably, we'd also tune on a TED Talk to get inspiration to help us reach our goals. So I feel like it's like the WD-40 of inspirational talks and for corporates, schools, all of that stuff. So, so we'll get into how you pull off these amazing events in Shoflo and everything, but we'd love to ask you first, again, just kind of starting things off with something fun. What's one thing our audience would be surprised to learn about what goes behind the scenes on TED? Something like your crew does something, they have a fun superstition, or each speaker, they do XYZ before coming on stage. Anything like that?
I mean, I can't really think of, I was thinking about this. This was the one question I actually saw ahead of time. And I was like, we do literally not have any superstitions that we do before, because it is such chaos. It is a controlled chaos, I will say. It is, I'm fairly new to events. This events for me, I come from a broadcast background, and live television is what I've really done through my career. This is a whole nother level of, a live broadcast, a theater, and a film event all at once. It's kind of all the things. And so I think sure, there are high fives, definitely, but everybody is very serious and very focused. It's a very different environment, though, that's been created at TED, I would say, and that's something we can get into. But there isn't a superstition that we have. It's focus. It's like deep, deep focus. We have, 100 very nervous people who are about to feel like their lives are going to be changed because they are, and we are focused on doing a lot of things at one time. There's so many things happening. And
if I could just, since you're heading there, tell me about TED. Like, for those that, I think everyone's somewhat aware of it, but there might be some that aren't. What is TED? What makes it so special? Why is it such kind of like a cultural icon for everyone?
Well, oh gosh, this is a big answer. TED started in the 80s, actually, as like a private dinner. And it stayed that way for a long time, like an elitist kind of private dinner. And then Chris Anderson, who's the current head of TED, in, I think it was 1993 or 1995, maybe 93, bought TED and transformed it into this public arena of ideas. And with like a deep love for humanity. So that is so rare, especially for me coming from a broadcast background. It felt like such a good fit for me, because it was this place where, he just had a vision that he wanted, he wanted people to get ideas. He wanted to be cutting edge. There are ideas like Simon Sinek's, that people respond to that, really resonate with how to be a good manager or whatever. Sir Ken Robinson about education, all the way through to, early days when Elon Musk came out with Tesla and why he came to TED. To, Sam Altman recently to talk about AI and people launching things on this platform. So it was like an innovative place for people to launch their tech or their ideas for the first time going out in the world. And I guarantee you that most ideas that have kind of transformed our society and the world have come from a TED Talk. It's kind of shocking that happens. People think of a TED Talk as like, I'm going to speak and I'm going to wear this microphone, and it's kind of become like a cliche, but it's actually still very relevant in the world. And then, so that's kind of the big picture of TED. And then, and Chris really felt like this platform of just speaking on a stage was a really powerful platform. And so, the production that goes behind that, it looks very simple. If you've watched a TED Talk, it looks very clean and simple, but it's also like, our editing also looks very clean and simple, but the amount of work and detail that goes into everything from the stage, you're looking at the Vancouver stage, which is where has been our home to I call it our big fundraiser. It's our once a year conference that is, we're a nonprofit. I don't know if everybody knows that. We are a nonprofit. We give talks away for free. And this is our stage. This is kind of the most iconic stage. This theater, and you might have some behind the scenes footage later, this theater is actually built from the ground up, that we have built with
just for TED.
It's in a giant ballroom in the Vancouver Convention Center, and we build it like IKEA style. It's Douglas fir that was sourced for us 10 years ago. and we build it. If you go on actually to YouTube and do TED time-lapse theater, you'll see the actual build of this theater. It's pretty amazing. And so there's really no conference like a TED conference. It hits on all of your senses. It is this deeply beautiful experience. We've created this beautiful experience so you can really take in some really heavy thoughts, some ideas, heavy ideas. So this is the iconic stage in Vancouver. And like I said, we went on our, this was our 11th year in this space.
Wow. Yeah, a few things I noticed as you were just talking, things that are consistent on every TED stage is that red circular carpet. Like, it's kind of like it's in some ways a spotlight for that speaker. Yeah, I mean, how did that start? That just, I mean, I know it moved from dinners to conferences. How did that start?
It's a funny story. And, we've moved away. TED Next, which is our newest kind of conference that we produce. We produce about 3 major conferences a year with a bunch of salons throughout the year. TED Next, which was formerly TED Women, now TED Next, because we wanted to not just be women. We wanted to broaden it to everybody. We have done that conference a couple times without a circle, actually, which is kind of a big deal. And actually one year, maybe 2022 or 21 at this conference, we didn't do the red rug. We did an illuminated circle. So we've tried to change it up a little bit. So you all may know TEDx. So TEDx is a locally organized TED event. It is done with volunteers. You probably have them in your communities, like TEDx Minneapolis, TEDx, whatever, in whatever little town. Or
we're based in Orlando. Yeah, we've had some here as well.
TEDx Orlando, so there's all these, those TEDx's are independently organized by the local volunteers. So people in that town say, I'm so inspired by TED, I want to do my own TED conference. They get a license from us. It's free. We don't charge for it. But they just have to follow kind of our rules for what TED is, and it's all about, it's actually, the setup is really smart and beautiful. And apparently a TEDx organizer years ago, so TEDx has been around for a long time. There are over 25,000 TEDx events happening around the world. And a TEDx organizer went to IKEA and got a red rug and stuck it on the stage, and it stuck. And that was where that came from. So if you ever go to IKEA and you see a red rug, that is where it came from. This is what I hear. This is kind of the origination. And then we get
what the legend says.
Yeah, that's right. We get those custom built in a slightly different color and much larger than the IKEA rug. So it was kind of a, by accident. And that dot represents kind of, a ripple effect in the world is what, great to have an idea, but it's more about like, what is that ripple effect in the world?
Okay. No, that's a great story. It's good to, I had no idea. So, thanks for sharing. Like I said, you're head of production for TED, but would love to know if you can share with the audience, how did you start at TED? I know you talked about your background is in broadcast. How did you transition to being head of production here?
Well, I was working at NBC Universal in Philadelphia, and I was running a show there. I was executive producer for a show there, and Comcast bought NBC. This was in 2013, and my show got canceled. It was entertainment based, and they said, you can move into news, and I didn't want to do news. And so I left NBC after, being there in broadcast for 20 plus years, 25 years.
Wow.
And I got a job working for Nestle in Switzerland, running their content. It was kind of early days of social media, and we were trying to figure out like what the heck we're doing and making content for the largest company in the world, basically in Switzerland, based in Switzerland. And so I did that. And then I ran a foundation for a professional athlete in Philadelphia, and kind of transformed his foundation. And then I did some, consulting, and I was kind of like, I can't go back to broadcast. Like my head and my heart just I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't bring myself to go back into broadcast. And just, we all have stories about, I think, working in our fields and the challenges, and broadcast television was just didn't align with really what I wanted. I love the adrenaline and the fast pace, but it was just not a great environment. And I really wanted to create a team based on, that sounds really cheesy, but like,
It's okay. Cheesy is allowed. It's okay.
yeah, based on like really caring about each other and kindness and like love. Again, I know that sounds cheesy, and not around competition, and create this environment where people can really thrive and grow. And then I learned about TED, and kind of, I was late to learn about TED. I learned about TED probably in the beginning of 2015, which it had been around for a long time before then. And I was like, what is this? This is interesting. And it seems like the work they're doing is kind of the work I want to be doing. And then randomly somebody reached out to me and said, there's a role open. And it's basically the role that I'm doing, although the role has changed quite a bit. It's, because I had a lot more experience in other things. And that's kind of how, I accepted in September of 2015. And, my goal was to transform this team that was really struggling, and grow this team. And, I guess going back to your earlier question about like what is like the superstitious thing you do, it's, for me, it's not superstitious, but it's about reminding everybody. We call it a crew mixer because it was meant to be like a cocktail party before the conference starts to kind of get everybody to know each other, but we never had time for it. So we have like this 15-minute slot before we jump into rehearsals with the whole crew. And, now that we've been doing this for a long time, I tell this team I love them. They come back year after year, and it's shocking to me because we're a nonprofit. We're not paying the most, but people come back flying from all over the country and the world, for that matter, to work on this conference with us. So it is truly like a labor of love, I think. Yeah.
No, that I love hearing that. It reminds me of something I saw on social media, but it was someone from Gen Z, probably an influencer, but he just asked someone like a Gen Xer he's started businesses and sold them. And he was just asking, how do you be successful? And one of the keys of to be successful, he said, take care of your team, love them. It's not common to hear in the business or professional sense, but if you show that you take care of your team, they want to give it their all. And that's what I'm picking up, is that's what you do. So I think that's amazing and fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It's a lot of work though. I will say that, but this, Celine Smith said, as events people, we all know this cannot be simple. It's true. This work is so hard and relentless. I don't think people realize, like, we're spending 20-hour days for 2 weeks for this conference. And it is truly 20-hour days. And I'm kind of too old for that, but the team and, I love the adrenaline and it's exciting but it's hard work. And it's kind of relentlessly like that.
Okay. Well, no, we can tell how hard you work because of producing amazing results and amazing event. So thank you for working so hard, you and your team. Let's jump. Well, before we jump into the show flow and talk about your team dashboard here, we'd love to open up a poll. So Brian in the background, he's going to go ahead and launch this poll. And the question is, have you had the privilege of experiencing a TED Talk? Have you watched a TED Talk yet?
Or have you gone to a conference? I'd be curious to know if you guys have, if anybody's been to an actual conference.
In-person conference. Yeah, I don't know if that's one of the options you have there, Brian, but if you have, put it in the chat as well. We'd love to know.
And I'll say while we're waiting for the poll, TED conference is very different from many other conferences. It is, you have to apply and you have to get accepted to come to a conference, and it's not cheap. But we've changed that format a little bit so that it is more inclusive to people. But it is quite an experience.
Wow. So, okay. So that's the process. Apply, and then you have to be accepted. Are you allowed to say, like, what are the chances of you being accepted? Is that like a industry secret, or is that just lottery?
No, well, it's changed a little bit. It used to be like, it's changed. It used to be kind of a little bit more elite, and which I think once it started, people started talking about it, like, what is a TED conference? Around the time that I came, it was like, this should be available to everybody. It shouldn't be an elite thing. I think the key with, coming to a TED conference is that you're not just coming to like promote yourself. You're coming to actually make connections. You're coming to learn, be curious. It's a very different vibe than a lot of other conferences, like, for example, I don't even know if you'd call NAB a conference, and I haven't been in years and years, but
I went a few weeks ago. It's like, a conference, trade show.
It's like overload. The purpose of that is to like learn about what the new technology is, or really make connection, like sell yourself, right? Like, you're there for a specific purpose. A TED conference is not like that. A TED conference is truly to learn about yourself, to learn about the world around you, to discover new things, curiosity. It's like a wellness retreat, and it's really magical. Magical. Yes.
Mina, you are like selling. I mean, this is amazing. Yeah, this is amazing. I want to apply as soon as we get off. Do it. Yeah, I would love to go to a TED conference.
Our next conference is called TED Next, and it is in Atlanta. So it's in the US. Or actually, I'm lying. Our next conference is in Nairobi, and it is focused on climate change, on climate.
Okay, and that's a little further away.
But in November,
when's the next one in North America?
November, Atlanta, TED Next, and it's about the future you, and it's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we do have several people tuning in from the EMEA region, so Nairobi, it's just a short flight for you. So you can check that out.
Might be sold out, but go online.
Wait list, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Go to TED.com and go under the search bar where it says attend.
Okay. And if not, you can always tune in online, of course.
That's right.
That's the option. Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into your Shoflo environment and walk through how Shoflo is just one of the tools used to help you pull off these amazing events. So, Brian, you can go ahead and share the screen there. All right. So right now I'm in your team dashboard. For those that are not familiar with a Shoflo team dashboard, I'll give you the lay of the land here. So what we're looking at are your upcoming events, and then you have your past events. So once an event is over, it's automatically moved to your past events where it lives forever in a read-only state. You have the ability to create templates and keep them in a library, and you can leverage those as you create new new events. And when I say event, think of something like a folder on your cloud storage or computer, something you're already doing, planning for your events. And within those events, within those folders, that's where your run of shows live. And that's what TED is doing here. I'm going to move to your past events, just so, let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Just so just so you all can see the types of events that TED is spinning up here. So Mina, if you could just briefly share at a high level, how do you decide what events qualifies? Hey, let's fire up a show flow rundown and put that in. How does that work for you and your team?
Yeah, I think that pretty much if we use show flow, which by the way, we pretty much use it for everything we do, because there is more than one cue. It's not just a speaker going on the stage and there's nothing going on. It requires, lighting cue, audio cue, even a mic cue, video roll, something happening. A lot of these events, actually, these smaller events, which is what you're seeing, these are not our big 3 to 4 bigger events around the world. These are all, you can see it says NYC Theater. We have in our offices in New York, we have a small theater inside of the office. And we run everything out of show flow.
If I could just speak to that point though, I think that does say something, like whether it's your big event in Vancouver or something in your office.
Yeah.
More than one cue, it'd be great to use show flow. Like for those that might not know, we're using a run of show and show flow for this webinar. Lower production value than from what Mina experienced in Vancouver a few weeks ago, but still it just helps you keep on track. So I think that's something great to point out, Mina. That's great.
Yeah. And you'll see kind of the gamut of all that we do. So you're seeing TED Ed, you're seeing this immigrant diaspora, you're seeing Audacious. If you don't know about the Audacious program that TED does, that is an amazing program. There's so many different events that are happening, kinds of content. Yeah.
Well, let's dive. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, we're just about to build our big countdown event, the one happening in Nairobi. We haven't built that yet. That's happening in a couple of days. So you just missed that.
Well, that's a great, I just missed what you building it out.
Yeah, we're going to do it in a couple of days. We haven't done it. The team is going to start to build that out because it's a 6-session conference. Unlike this Humanity Reimagined that we just had in Vancouver is an 11-session, about 2 to 3 hour sessions per session. It's insane. It's about, we clock about between 24 and 30 hours of content in the week. Wow. It's a week-long conference, 5-day conference.
Yeah, that's immense. Like I begin to understand of that, how you're describing TED. Well, it's a lot of work, but it's a fruitful experience. Well, I know as head of production, you kind of have more oversight in show flow, and your team, they're the ones in it a little bit more. But let's pretend this is a few days from now and they're spinning up the Nairobi run of show. How are they doing that? Are they leveraging the template library that you have here? Are they going to past events and duplicating the last one and then putting that in, using that in the upcoming events? How does that work?
Yeah. So we copy the template for the same conference. So for the Vancouver conference, we copy the template and make a new one out of that. For the smaller salon type conferences, we just do the same thing. We just take the template and copy that over. And it really changes for each conference. Every conference is very different, but it gets us started.
Great. No, that's really good to know. So let's say we have got our event duplicated here and it's on our upcoming events tab, and we'll click into that. It takes us from our team dashboard to our event dashboard. And like you said, here is the behemoth of a 11-session conference here.
Yeah, and this
Um,
year, I want to point out, because you're probably looking at this like, what are these weird titles? We every year we have the conference is titled Humanity Reimagined, and then each session has a theme. And this year we decided to do themes, movie titles, and so they're all movie titles, and it's kind of it's a journey. It takes you on this journey of what exactly the conference speakers are going to look like. So anyway, just so you know that, so you're not like, wait a minute, what is this? So this year,
yeah.
movie titles. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. A few did stand out for sure. If I know we have some customers that include an entire day worth of run of shows of sessions in one rundown. Was each session a day? Well, it doesn't look. Yeah, it looks like you had like several on the 8th
Yeah.
here, or maybe yeah. So walk
Those,
me through why
yeah.
did you split those out and not include them in one rundown? Maybe the answer is simple. It's just really long, but if you
Yeah.
don't mind,
I think that's why it's really long and it's a little overwhelming.
okay.
And if you were to click on a session, you would see the detail for each team that goes into these sessions. So, we have like very precise, we're using a broadcast team for our camera direction. We have an AD, and then we have a plethora of other people involved because we have 3 big screens on the stage. There's an operator to, and we're not just rolling video on those big screens. There's multiple things happening. There's IMAG happening on the screen. There's a lower third with Chiron on the screen. There's so many things going on, and it's precise. And there are audio cues all over the place happening. It's a lot. There's a lot of things going on. So, if you were to kind of scroll down to the right, you'll see all of the other roles that play. There's the screens, the playback, the graphics playback, the EVS playback, the audio, the lighting, the tech notes, the asset links and rehearsal links, so people can see if there was a performance and we did a rehearsal, they can go back and start, because we only get a short amount of time for the rehearsal. There's a lot of props and demo. If you go to session, I think it's session 3, iRobot. Yeah, I can't believe I remember this. Literally after we do this, I forget everything.
No, you live and breathe it for a week or so.
Yeah. There's a lot of detail, like from the moment that the people walk into the theater, there's like very intentional audio, we have surround sound, spatial audio in the theater that we've built out. We have very intentional visuals happening on the screen, very intentional lighting. This specific session was a very, very technical heavy session. So go to the left a little bit there, and I'll talk you. Yeah. So we had videos and stuff, but then we had this Bernd Bornick, page 313, was debuting his basically in-home robot for the first time. And that talk is online if you want to watch that. There was a lot, look at this detail. There's so much detail because every move this robot was making, and then we had to build an additional network backstage to make sure that the robot is going to power itself to do what it needs to do. So we're working with like the tech, their tech, and then we're also working with our tech. And you can see.
So it's a quick question on that. So is their team kind of helping you build out a run of show in a way of more of like what the robot is capable of doing, and that determines what cues you're doing? Or
So the way, that's a good question. The way that it works with something like this that is very highly choreographed is we talk to his team. What do you want to do? They tell us what they want to do. And then we say, okay, this is what we should do. This is what we can do. And this is what is going to be really impressive. And then we don't have a lot of time. We have maybe an hour on site to figure it all out, but there are 24 calls that happen before we go on site. But oftentimes people don't understand until we get there how much detail and what needs to happen ahead of time. So the show flow gives us the capacity, like everybody's putting their cues in there because there are literally every second in every portion of this team, from the screens to the audio to the lights to the tech to the Wi-Fi to the bandwidth to the, all the different things happening that are cued seconds, like every second there's something happening. So, and if you scroll down, you'll see this session was specifically really tough. Palmer Luckey had a crazy prop that we brought on stage that wasn't complicated. If you go down though, Shahram Izadi, his talk actually also, he debuted the Google glasses and the AR glasses that debuted for the first time ever on our stage. And it was complicated. There was a lot of stuff involved, HDMI connections from their backstage gear onto the glasses on site. He was using the glasses as well to read he had teleprompter on his glasses. So us hooking all of this up.
He had a prompter plugged into his glasses.
So much, yes, which is, by the way, the coolest thing ever. And these glasses they're not out yet. They're coming out soon. So we debuted that. We debuted Gemini, kind of these new features. He's the one who created all this. He had 2 people on the stage at different times demoing these things. So much detail that went into making sure the tech is going to work, and then choreographing everybody to make sure everybody's where they need to be and everybody on my team is doing what they need to do. So
and I guess you put some kind of that information in here, or some of that.
Most of it is in here. The places where I see that there's blank, like graphics playback, there was no graphics playback because it was all his computer, what you're seeing in the VR glasses and what you're seeing in the Google glasses. So that was all HDMI connection into our system, so I see why there's nothing there. But there's so much detail. Like the screens was probably the most complicated part. And also a lot of holding our breath because our network, we have a pretty massive network to support all of this technology.
Yeah. And you're just talking like internet infrastructure when you say that.
Yeah. Internet, so 1,600 people on their phones in the theater, plus all the tech that it takes to do this. Like that robot is running. We had to build a separate network for the robot. And we had to build on-site, literally building, and our backstage is bananas. Yeah.
And we all know how reliable conference Wi-Fi can be. So which is it's not great. I want to move to how you share this and everything, but just a quick thought as you're walking through just these 2 from Shahram Izadi and was it Palmer Luckey or Brent? Brent. One of my favorite shows is The Office, and some of the popular podcasts have been just sharing behind the scenes. Mina, you need to do a behind the scenes of just how you put this together. I will listen to it because that is just almost just as fascinating as these actual talks, because
for sure.
I mean, there's just like putting a show together. Sorry, nothing to do with Shoflo here, but I'll moderate it too. I'll just introduce you and be quiet, and then you go. So, right, let's move on.
It's bananas, actually.
But it's fascinating because I mean, this is I get it, like the 20-hour days, what you're talking about. This is takes a lot of work to make this seamless. So all right, so let's go. Before we actually move on to how you share this, I think we have a time for one more poll. Or actually, no, we did that already. We're doing Q&A. That's right. So Brian, let's go ahead and hit pause here, and let's see if we have any questions. All right. So let's see. Does one person, here's the first question from Lorena. Does one person, example, executive producer, fill out show flow for the entire team, or does each department write their own cue, like lighting, audio, video?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I kind of act as the executive producer for all the conferences on site. I absolutely do not touch the show flow anymore. I used to build it when we first started to kind of teach the team and get them started. But now my producers, depending on who's lead producing on at conferences, because there's so much detail that goes into a lot of these conferences, I have kind of different teams. My team is not very big, but because we're doing, not only these main conferences, but we're doing also, this is our control room, by the way. This is our control room in Vancouver. And this is just the front row, pretty much, our AD, our director, our TD, who keeps coming back. I can't believe it. Rose. And then behind me is some of the technical crew. We have 11 cameras on site for this conference, 11 cameras, and those 3 big screens really take up a lot of work. I think I filmed this, actually. This is Shoflo in action. Everybody's got this in front of them. So to answer your question, sorry, it is, so one of my producers will do a first pass of really just the order of the talk. So speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, any videos that go in between. And then we do a technical running order with our entire team, audio, lighting, cameras, DPs, ADs, director, everybody. It's a huge crew. We do a running order meeting with them, and they go through and will write their cues. So we'll say, there's a video that's going to play here that needs to play at full sound. We need to have the video look on the stage, so when I do it, I do the talk down, and everybody's just writing their cues down in their own fields. This is the audio. This is our A2 station backstage, where they mic the speakers with our self-designed mic. Actually, we designed the mic ourselves with Sennheiser.
So sorry, real quick, when you said they write their notes, like if they have show flow in front of them, are they using the private notes, or they're putting it in their own column that they're responsible for?
Both. We usually ask them to put it in the main column that everybody can see, and then they can put whatever private notes they want. Yeah, they fill out their own column. We tell them in this running order meeting kind of the main of, what's happening, and go through all of that. And we have multiple running order meetings. We have a pre-conference running order meeting with the curation team, and then with the technical team, and then we have an on-site running order meeting with the curation team, and then with the technical team to talk through everything. And then, by the way, things are changing on site like crazy.
Really? A live event, things change? Oh, no way.
Oh, okay. I know. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, they spell show flow wrong here every single year, and it makes me so mad. And I'm always like, can you guys please not spell it with a W? It's spelled without a W.
We're used to it. It's okay. We're just happy that people are. We'll take it. We'll take that one.
We're building the theater right now. This is behind the front, the stage, and we're building the theater. This is the audio area that you just saw that the A2s are. It's not fully built yet, but they're in the process. We're building everything still. So yeah, okay. This is one of the backstages.
All right. Well, while that video is going, I have another question from Christopher. Do you work with the same core AV production crew for every talk?
For every talk? Yes. Like
for every event, I guess.
Yeah, for every event. Yeah. We, depending on where we go, we're going to Nairobi in June, and working with local teams is really important to us. But for our core team, absolutely. So I have like the core team, the lighting director, the audio engineer lead, the DP, director, depending on where we are. We have a couple directors and ADs that we work with depending on the region. So we have like a European team that we always work with. We have a African continent team that we always work with. We have a US North American team that we always work with. So, it depends, but yes, I like to work with kind of the same core team, and then we hire a lot of local crew.
Okay, great. Next question from Mark. Do you have a dedicated show caller?
That's a good question too. We have multiple show callers because there's so much going on. There's a live broadcast. We're recording the talks for online that we're going to then take and edit. We have what's happening in the room, so a live theater event. And then we are, filming everything, like I said. So we have our dedicated show caller, I would say, for a big event like this one is our AD. And that AD, who, yes, is a dedicated show caller, is also communicating because our host will not wear IFBs. It's very tricky. So we have kind of a show caller also on stage, who was our stage manager. So we have kind of both working in tandem. And
is there a reason why your host won't wear an IFB? Is that just
because they're not professional hosts, they're curators. Chris Anderson has become an amazing host and is an amazing interviewer. And he probably would, but there is so much stuff going on, even for the hosts, that they're just not used to it. They're not like we think about in broadcasts, like an anchor. That's not, they're thinking about really the content on the stage. It's very different than a kind of traditional broadcast environment.
All right. Next
question. I see Mark's question, and that opens up something. Actually, I'll answer that really quick. There is no teleprompter for speakers. We do not offer a teleprompter. Shahram's talk, the only reason he had a teleprompter is because he had it in the glasses that he was demoing. And so he got away with it. And we thought, oh, this is going to open up a can of worms for us. We do not do teleprompted. Speakers are not allowed to read from a teleprompter. They have to learn their talk. And, we even discourage like memorization because we don't want them to be like a robot sounding.
Wow. So it's okay. I mean, there's so much more we could dive down into there. I mean, but I'm curious. So you just I guess you're just encouraging them to know certain bullet points or certain talking points and then talk like a conversation in a way.
Yeah, that's like our ideal, but not every speaker does that. A lot of these speakers are very good at, they should be good at speaking, and they have their methods, memorization. We have a speaker coach on site to work with them as well and works with them throughout the year. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. The questions are coming through. They're flowing through. So thanks for taking this, Mina. This is from Manuel. Production-wise, what do you find to be the most challenging during a live event?
For me, I think time. We never have enough time. I think, if you would have asked me this 9 years ago, it would be managing all the fires. There were so many fires. There was so much drama, and there's not that much drama anymore. Everybody knows what they need to do, and I only hire adults. So I don't want drama.
Number one.
I don't have time for drama, and everybody knows what is expected of them because they've worked with me for a really long time, my leads, like I said. And so I am there is so much to accomplish in this, in this short time that we have, that it's too overwhelming. So for me, time is the biggest challenge. And At this point, I feel like there's a solution to everything, even some of these really complicated technical things that we do on site. There's always a solution. And, we don't have like endless amounts of money. People think TED is a very wealthy organization. We are a nonprofit. We don't have the money. And so we have a lot of partnerships with a lot of organizations or companies like Shoflo that help us do what we need to do to have the best of the best. So I don't know if that answers your question. I hope so.
Yeah, I think that does. All right, we have another question. How often are you using the guest pass feature at all? So that's a great segue, Eric. Thank you. Before you answer that, Mina, I just want to let people know, Brian, if you could throw up the screen share on what that is. So we have several export options. So the videos you saw that Mina took, those are ways of sharing Shoflo by inviting people in. They have their own login and they can see real-time changes and they could follow along with the show caller and all of that. But for the old-fashioned way of sharing things, you have your PDF export. You choose what columns you want to have displayed here, and then you can drop in page breaks as well, and then you can generate a PDF there. You can export through Word, XLS, but Guest Pass, which is what Eric mentioned, this allows you to generate a read-only PDF version of your run of show, and it's no login required, and you can have all of your sessions available through this Guest Pass. You can still download it, you can print it on your own, but that's what Guest Pass is.
Yeah, we use the Guest Pass for every single conference, every single session. The Guest Pass allows people who don't need to get into the rundown and change anything, because we don't give access to everybody to change things. It gives everybody access to look at it. So we actually prefer the Guest Pass over the PDF, because we just share the Guest Pass with everybody at TED internally.
So is it everyone who does not have access to Shoflo that pretty much is getting
everybody has access to Shoflo? Yeah, everybody. Oh. Well, everybody has access through the Guest Pass.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say. When I say to Shoflo, I meant like logging in and everything. So okay, great.
Yeah, it's easier because a lot of people there are people who, for example, we had guest curators this year, guest hosts this year. We gave them all a Guest Pass. We didn't expect them to learn Shoflo as a tool. It was just easier for them just to look at the flow and the order that way.
And are you just showing all columns? Are you hiding a few? What does your Guest Pass look like?
We show everything. We show them everything except for my private notes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, good. And then I just noticed, there's some like Dropbox links you have there. Those still work through Guest Pass, but the permission levels are still intact.
Yes, correct. We put a lot of links in our Shoflo in the actual rundown. Links to either all kinds of things, stage plot, HDMI connections, or details, any technical details, from that to like a YouTube video to watch a performance of a performer to get an idea of what the song choreography is going to be, so that we can light for that or get the audio down for that, because like I said, we don't have a lot of time for rehearsal.
Okay. We have another question. How does your team plan for unprepared moments during a live show, like technical failures, protests, delays?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's different for every single one of these situations. One, I'll give you an example that's kind of been a little bit of the bane of my existence since I started at TED is, so when I came to TED, we were using, if you know audio, I had to learn a lot about audio. When I came to TED, we were using cardioid headset mics. So cardioid is only capturing what's right in front of the mic, whereas omnidirectional gets all of the audio all around, right? So like a handheld mic is an omni mic. It captures everything. Anyway, so what was happening was I think they were using like DPAs, and these mics had a big sock over them, really like ugly sock. And then they were falling off or getting hit by something. And we would have to stop the speaker in the middle of, as they were talking, to fix the mic because it was hitting on something. It was like, so we created this system. Okay, so I was like, the mics have to change. So then I reached out to Sennheiser. I designed a new mic with Sennheiser. We don't have this problem as much anymore, but we have a plan in place. And it's a very thought out, detailed plan that I go through every single conference with my stage team and with the control room team, which is, and it happened on site this year. If a speaker, because what happens is if something goes wrong, everybody's like, what the hell's going on? And everybody starts talking on the comms, and it's like, calm down. So first of all, I tell everybody, listen, we're on the same team. This is nobody's fault. We're doing the best that we can in the short amount of time that we have to build this. This is our contingency plan. So I have to think ahead of like, what are the things that are going to go wrong, right? That's what everybody's thinking about. And I really press on my team to do the same. If you see, or if you feel that something may go wrong, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I can like smell it when it's going to go wrong. So our contingency plan, Eric Schmidt, for example, who is the former CEO of Google, was doing an interview. He had just a regular collared shirt on with a jacket, and these new mics, which have 2 ear hooks around your ear so they do not move, but it's a lot of detail to put these things on. His shirt hit and disconnected the clip of the mic, which is a piece of the mic that is clipped on. There's a hook that goes around the ear, and then the actual mic clips onto that hook. It unclipped it and it fell off, and it was hanging. So the rule is I have to be paying attention all the time to every single talk while also everything else is going on. And I'm discussing with my audio team, how does it sound in the theater? How does it sound? I have people planted in the theater to be listening, because the sound in the theater is very different than the sound on the records. My broadcast team is listening to. I'm checking in with everybody. If our audio gets screwed up, we're screwed. A talk can't post, right? So his mic starts to fall off. And before the interview got too far, I told my stage manager, because this is the protocol that we do, stage manager, get on stage, stop them, tell them to take a drink, fix the mic, and we're on. And we did, and it was fine. And you know what's a live event? It happens. As long as I have a clean recording and we don't make the big important person look stupid, or we don't piss off the person who's doing the interview, or we don't, that it happens calmly. Everybody's calm. It gets fixed.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say there's so many other things that we put contingency plans together for. But that's one example.
I love that, because
talk about it with your team. Yeah.
Yeah, your response, people will kind of go off of your response and how you feel, and you just responded in a calm way, professional way. And I think the key is don't make the speaker look foolish. And I think you honored that, Eric, well. I'm sure he appreciated that. So, Mina, believe it or not, we are at time. We are there. And I'm sure there's a lot more questions there. But to wrap things up, first of all, thank you for doing this. Learned so much. Yeah, I learned so much about how you use Shoflo, but just learned how hard your team works to put on this amazing event. I think now we know why it's so iconic. It's because of what goes on, partly because of what goes on behind the scenes. So thank you for imparting your wisdom, some tips on just how to lead your production team, how you use Shoflo. So thank you for that. What's some of the best ways people can follow you and support the work of TED?
So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Mina Sabet, Minasabet. feel free to, follow me on LinkedIn, and you can contact me through LinkedIn. I'm not always on it, but I definitely check it. And then, like I said, TED is a nonprofit. Watch the talks. Go to TED.com, which is our website, which a lot of people don't watch the talks on our website, but there are a lot of really cool resources there as well. And if you haven't had a chance to explore the content, do. I feel like whatever your interests are, whatever you want to learn about, you can do that on TED.com or on the TED YouTube channel. There are other ways to support, by going to conferences. Like I said, that's our fundraiser. That's the way that we raise funds to be able to provide free content for people. And then there's like a TED membership franchise that we have that, like NPR has. You pay X amount of dollars and you support the brand, and you get like little perks with that. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I would say that's the best way. Thank you for asking that. That's really nice that you asked that.
No, our pleasure. Yeah. I mean, like I said, you personally do great work, and TED is so iconic. So we want to support you, both of you, the best way we can. But thanks again, Mina. Thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to keep on working alongside you and helping you produce these awesome events. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody's time, and hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much.
For sure, it was. And everyone, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you found this time as useful and helpful as I did. If you are not currently using Shoflo, but you'd want to learn more, you can go ahead. I believe Brian will drop a link in to schedule a time to talk with me to learn more about Shoflo. Or you can just head to our website, shoflo.tv. Again, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.